Hello, hello, hello. Welcome again to the show, Who Are You? As usual, I am your host, Dr. Leah, and today we are going to New York, New York. I love New York, and I'm just glad when I have people bring me to New York and have that feeling. It is Thursday evening in Europe. It is Thursday morning in the US. And today we have our guest from New York, as I have said, and our guest is Cordelia Gaffar. Most of you are already well conversant with her. She is a power queen. She is everything. She gives you everything. She guides you. She supports you. She is also a coach, and she specializes as emotion opener. So we are going to learn more about how to work with our emotions, even in difficult times, but still become the leaders that we are in. So I won't take most of her introduction. I will just bring her up, and so that we can hear everything from her, what she does, how she does, but first and foremost, who Cordelia Gaffar is. Hello, Queen. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Leah. Oh my goodness. Thank you so
How are
much. I'm doing well.
Awesome. Awesome. So glad to have you on my show today. I have watched you in a lot of shows, and I just love what you do. And I was so honored to, be with you, to coach with you, the 50 plus girls in June, or was it in July? And I
July,
was
yeah.
just so much blessed with so many of the details and the information and the skills and the techniques and the everything that you were just pushing out there for the young ladies, young moms, young girls. And I just said, I have to bring her on my show because I need her to pour this on my people. So welcome, and thank you so much for coming on this show. So Cordelia, I will not take so much, but I will just throw the ball at your end. Tell us who you are.
Yeah. So as you said, I'm the emotions opener, transformation strategist, and I love to help leaders to use their emotions as a power source to show up powerfully. So often, especially we as women, we run from our emotions, we avoid them, and we think it makes us weak. But, in fact, it's because we have them, because we feel so much. If we just allow ourselves the 90 seconds that our emotions last, then the wisdom, the intuitiveness that we have can shine through and really change our world and those around us. And that's what I do. I've shared that, I'm so grateful to be connected with wonderful coaches and women like you and Eva Aracini, and support the She Phoenix, Femme Phoenix, young teen moms. And, actually a portion of my proceeds of my business go to support that because I am a patron for them. And I coach one of the girls every month and help and support her emotionally through what she's going through. And you'll get to know me more as we talk.
Awesome. See, you've already given us so much power words out there. As a patron, you're coaching at the same time, you're mentoring at the same time. You've offered yourself, to take one of the girls, one of the teen moms to support and to guide them, to mentor them. That is so much, because we always say, we change one soul at a time.
Yeah.
And distance is not a barrier. We have seen how this year we have learned that distance is actually not a barrier, and we can do so much. In the comfort zones of where we are at, we can do so much to make this world a better place. And it just takes us to say yes, to come out of those comfort zones and begin to think, what is it that I am good at, that I can put out there to impact the people around me, to impact the atmosphere, to impact the world, to bring a change, and not just sit and say, oh, you should have done that. Oh, you should have done that. But what are we doing? What are you doing? So I think we are learning a lot about, looking at ourselves and, putting ourselves out there to really understand what is it we can do and how best we can do it. So, Cordelia, as you have just said, you are emotion opener. Help us to understand, how does this emotion opening begins? What is your journey to, becoming an emotion opener?
Right. So for me, I had postpartum depression about 18 years ago, and that was actually the wake-up call, right? So before that, I was avoiding my emotions and shaming and guilting myself, because in between my first and second live births, I had 2 miscarriages, and I was really ashamed of that. But it, presented in my body in many ways. I gained like 65 pounds with my second pregnancy. I was on bed rest the last trimester. And after he was born, I didn't have that immediate, love that I had with my daughter. And when I went to my doctor, because everyone always knows better than us.
Yes.
I went to my doctor, and she was like, "It's okay, darling. We got something for that." So she's trying to give me antidepressants. And that's when I was like, whoa, what's happening right now? And that's when I just started to learn and practice using food as medicine. First and foremost, I practice mindfulness techniques, spiritual techniques, of course, all different forms of movement. And it took me about 9 months. And my whole goal was, yes, I had gained 65 pounds, but I had a bigger weight, and it was my emotions. And it was the fact that I didn't love my son. I didn't feel the love the way I had for my daughter. And that was a problem for me. And in 9 months' time, I found the joy again. And so I've just been practicing that, rinsing and repeat, refining over the years. And now I have 6 children, and and I'm finding the joy every day. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow, that is pretty much an experience, because sometimes we don't really understand, especially for women, what they really go through during the pregnancy and after the pregnancy. And sometimes we just hear, people have this postnatal depression. You try to kind of relate and understand, how does that come to a mom who has carried a child for 9 months, and how can the mother not be able to relate to the child when it is born? Because so many people say, oh wow, you hear that first cry and you just fall in love. But there are people who struggle with that. And there are different circumstances that bring us to that place. Like yours, probably it was the 2 miscarriages and everything that circulates it. But just before we move on, what are the common things that make most of the women get this postnatal depression?
That's a really good question. So what I found in my case, and this is very common amongst Western women, is that when you're pregnant with a male child, the testosterone levels increase so much, and we're not taught the proper nutrition to support that. And what we need is an increase of vitamin B3, specifically niacin. And, they just give you this prenatal vitamin. But if you were to take, and I've experimented a lot, apparently, because I've had, 4 more kids after him, and each pregnancy was better. If you just take a vitamin B super complex, and you increase the amount of fats, good fats, like seeds, nuts. I actually just, chuck down coconut milk, like the real one with the pulp, and, these kind of things are really good to help you, to support you nutritionally during pregnancy. And it would reduce, actually, I never had postpartum depression again, and I never had a miscarriage again. So.
Awesome. That is very well educative there, because and like you said, especially women in the Western world, because there is everything is more technological. Read this book, read that book. People in I can only speak from people from Africa, because there you have a lot of older women who would always support you, would always explain to you what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed not to do, how you go, how you conduct, as when you have pregnancy, what things you should be looking at. But in the Western part, we really don't have so much, and we only rely on what our gynecologist will always tell us. They give you from the word go, they say, oh, you're pregnant, you get some pills on your hands, please take these ones every, and that's it. And then everything, you have to read books, and you don't, sometimes not everybody can relate to somebody else's story. But in general, you find when people learn to understand that there are those proper nutrition that we need to be looking at, because our bodies react differently, especially with the weather, with the season as well. Then we kind of get to learn what is it that resonates with me, resonates with my body, resonates with the season that I am in. And that's why I really love how you say, learning to practice all forms of movements and proper nutrition, because that is something that we don't do so much. Because either they will put the pills on your hands, or you will get a bed rest. So you kind of, don't know which one is which, and then it brings you down, because if you're somebody who is always super active, then you have to be like bed rest. You cannot imagine how long that day looks like a year to you before you wake up.
That was so me. I mean, so with my daughter, I worked in downtown Washington, D.C., right? So I, for a CPA firm, and I would just walk, to my different clients and, whatever. And then with my son, I mean, I wasn't at that time, I was in the suburbs working, so I had to drive to work anyway, but then to be put on bed rest, that was just like, oh, wait a minute, like I can't take a walk around my neighborhood. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, so I totally fully understand how that felt. So tell us, what strategies do you normally use as an emotional opener? And give us an example of, what kind of emotions mostly do you come across where you kind of support people who are mainly on the leading side? And I think we all are leaders in one way or another, whether you're a mother, a father. You don't necessarily need to be in an organization or a company to be a leader, because I believe we are all leaders where we are. So what is the common emotion that you have had to work with for quite some time, and how did you work on that? How did you manage to open that to enable a client be able to move as a leader?
I guess it would be called avoidance. The lack the lack of emotion, like not wanting to feel them so that they can appear more powerful. I guess that really boils down to fear, really, at the end of the day. And just showing how easy it is to have love and compassion, which is the opposite of fear, and it's when you express that you are really passionate about something, you love something, you can stand up for something, right? You don't have to go with what's expected and accepted, because you're in that leadership position because they saw something powerful in you. Exactly. You have to let that out by standing up for that thing. And with women, when they stand up for things, because we're often shut down through the educational system, right? Then it's just like, it goes from one extreme to the other. It's like, I feel passionate about this, and it shows up as anger. But they're not really angry. It's just an emotion that they haven't allowed for so long, right? And it's really a passion, right? So just giving voice to what you actually believe in is like the biggest struggle that I see. And when I help, people to pull that out, then they're just like, you know what? I really am not angry. I'm like, yeah, you're not. I really care deeply about this, and it's a very important value to me. that I just haven't been honoring. And I said, and so now what are you going to do? You know, I was talking to someone recently, and she had been told by her doctor, you know, she had some physical problems. So the other side of this, just to give you some context, the other side of repressing your anger is it embeds itself a lot of time in our wound space. And so she was developing fibroids. And because she was, you know, she'd already done having children and all that, the doctor was like, oh, you know, let's have a hysterectomy, you know, and she was going to go along with that. And so when I talked to her and I said, so what do you know about your body? And she says, well, I know, you know, I grew up with my grandmother and my grandfather. They, you know, used herbs and stuff. She has a Caribbean background. And I know that I can probably reverse all of this. And, you know, some of the things I've been allowing in my life the past year or two, you know, I've gotten rid of some toxic relationships recently. So, you know, if I just keep practicing this, I change the way I eat and I lessen the amount of sugar. And I said, so, you know, are you going to go along with the surgery? And she says, no. And I said, well, why not? She says, well, because I know that even though I'm done having children, if I remove my uterus, it's going to make my later years more difficult. And I said, okay. And I said, so now what is your decision? She says, I'm going to keep my uterus and I'm just going to change my lifestyle habits. So, you know, this is a very simple way that we give away our power, right? Even post childhood years, childbearing years is, you know, like during childbearing years, we're like, oh, yeah, it's going to hurt too much. I want to know when my kid's born. Let's just have a C-section, right? Not knocking the technology of C-sections because they have their place. But when we're at a 53% rate of, you know, C-sections, I don't think there's that many emergency C-sections in the world. And then hysterectomies, same thing. And I want to say also specific to women of color, they struggle both with the fear, the anger, and giving up their power in just whatever the doctor says. Yeah, take my uterus. You know, I don't need it anymore. I'm not having kids. Not recognizing that it is a hormonal stabilizer to keep that particular organ in place. It's very vital to keep that like until the end of life. So and fibroids, you know, again, we're taught to fear our bodies, but it's just a physical manifestation of repression, which is easily reversed.
Oh wow! Oh wow! That is quite educating. You know, I never knew that, you know, things like fibroids would be you know, repression of you know, things that we have gone through and stuff like that. You know, just I know that sometimes. And it's very interesting because you said, you know, trying to understand our bodies as much as understanding our emotions, because like you've said, you know, sometimes you say that you're so passionate about something, and you know, the way you bring it out, some people perceive like you're angry, and you know, you have some force and you're using too much power, go slow. But yet, you know, it is because people probably don't understand how to bring those, you know, emotions out, you know, excitement, learning to be sure what is excitement for me at this particular moment. And, you know, it's not just a matter of showing excitement, you know, it's working it from inside out, because when it's a first excitement, then it's still eating you inside and you can't get it out. And that way you are repressing your emotion instead of letting it out completely. What would you say about, you know, people who, I know some people say, you know, find something where you have, you know, when you have anger, you can remove your anger there and not on people. How do you deal with such kind of clients who have this anger attitude and it is really deep inside and they need to work on that, even though they are in leadership, but they don't know how to manage that? How do you work with them?
Yeah, anger is really an interesting thing. I mean, the the basic thing is people have to understand your emotions are really just a bridge between your physical self and your spiritual self, right? And, you know, with anger, that is where your value system and your spiritual beliefs are being challenged. And so at a really deep core level. So the thing that I tell them to do is, you know what? When that anger hits you, wait for the wisdom to come. So brace yourself physically. Like if you're sitting, maybe, you know, sit up straight, you know, and like plant your feet on the ground. I'm a little short, so I have to really sit to the edge of the seat. But, you know, and plant your feet on the ground and just brace yourself on your desk and feel that, you know, and just let it, you know, go through your whole body. I guarantee it's going to be about 90 seconds. That's it. Don't let any words come out. You don't even have to attach words to the emotion. Just let it flow. And then stop and work on your breathing, right? And the breath is you close your right nostril, inhale left side. Right? So the left side is where most of our heart space is, right? And so that's our feminine side. So you inhale, I'm going to receive the love and the wisdom of this moment. And I'm going to release the negativity of this moment. And just do like as many breaths as you need, you know, 3 minimum, 10 maximum. Okay. And then you know, you'll know when to stop because then the words will come back.
Wow. Wow, that is awesome. That is so awesome. I did last month. I had a guest who talked to us about breathwork, you know, and how to coordinate your body with your breath and how to find yourself, find that balance within your space with breath. And he had a couple of techniques of breathing. But what you've just showed us now is very total new to me. And I'm so glad that you've showed it to us because, you know, understanding that, you know, the left side of your nose, when you close the other side, you're kind of releasing that. And you're, you know, the right side, you're receiving, you know, the wisdom of that moment. And it's an activity. And I think it's a habit that people have to learn to put and to implement and to learn about, because then if you don't work it on a daily basis. And I know, I mean, I can speak from experience that sometimes you just on your, you know, you've planned your day, everything is running correct. And, you know, you just get those bullets coming from left, right, center, and you're like, what, really? And then, you know, you kind of, it's kind of gauging you inside. But when we begin to learn to really put those techniques as a habit, every moment you get to that place, I believe it's kind of a beginning of healing and stretching us and allowing us really to receive the wisdom of that moment, to receive, you know, and also get to be in that mode, somber mode, where we are able to remove what is wise from our mouth. Because when our brains and our mouths are not coordinated, then we tend to bring out things that we can never, you know, take back. They say you cannot collect spilled water. So it's a matter, and you know, I've been practicing that with my kids especially. I always tell them, you know, you have to try and coordinate your brain and your mouth so that whatever comes out, you're sure that you will not need to take it back, because you might be saying something that might hurt somebody at that particular moment when you really don't know that it is hurting, but because you didn't really think about the other person, how they will perceive it before you brought it out. So I am so glad that, you know, you're really sharing with us things that are really important on our day-to-day life, day-to-day social, day-to-day leadership, day-to-day work, because these are things that happen to us every second, every moment. There is always something that, if it's not an email, it's a physical being.
Yes.
So
There's always something, you know.
There is always something, and especially even as a mother at home, there is always something, because you get something and then you hear that noise that passed and you're like, I just needed that moment, and you don't know how to react, and then you just, so we are going to take a break. We have Sherry Smith. She says good morning. We have Coach Yetunde from Nigeria. We have Coach Nkosi from South Africa. They're all enjoying the conversation. We are going to take a short break. And when we come back, we are going to continue our discussion with Coach Cordelia on how to work with our emotions, even those difficult emotions. You can work on them in a manner, even in that position, so that you can be the best version of a leader that you are today. So stay tuned. We will just come back in a minute.
Replenish me. When I say that, what comes up for you? And when's the last time that you've done that? And where do you feel that in your body? Well, this is my invitation to you to explore the 4 steps of my Replenish Me program, where women learn how to release, restructure, refresh, and rebirth. Showing up in the world, being true to yourself. Only choosing words that honor your values, and only allowing behaviors and people in your life who do the same. Connect with me by reaching out at bit.ly/replenish with love and explore Replenish Me. And now for tonight's show.
Welcome back. This is your show, Who Are You? And today we are in New York. Our guest today is Cordelia Gaffar. Cordelia Gaffar is a coach, and she strategizes on working with your emotions. She is an emotion opener, and she helps you to open up into your emotion, to step up to your emotions, so that you can be the best version of a leader wherever you are. Like we said, leaders, we are all leaders. It doesn't matter where you are. You're a mother, you're a leader at home. You're a teacher, you're a leader in school. You are a student, you're a leader in your school or in your university. You are in your organization, you are a leader in your space. And it is how you deal with the emotions that are around you enables you to step up to that leadership that you have been called to wherever you are. So thank you so much, Cordelia, for showing up. As we continue, you've already spoken to us about a couple of things that how to learn our bodies, learning to practice all forms of movement, learning proper nutrition, learning how to show love and compassion, which is an opposite of fear, so that we are able to balance those emotions and able to work in any space that we are in. You have also told us that, emotion is a bridge between physical and spiritual being, for many who might not know or understand, so that you are able to understand, where are my emotions coming? What am I supposed to do with this emotion? How do I work with this emotion? And Cordelia is a very good coach, because she's learned to work with those emotions from herself, being a homeschooling mom, schooling 6 kids. I can just say congratulations. I don't know how you do it.
Well, one has graduated and a second one graduating this year. So I'm only down to 4.
Still, it's a good sum,
Right.
Some of us, we were kind of having our hairs pulled off, because it was just 3 months, 4 months into pandemic, and we just didn't know, what do I do today? You are here, you're facing me, I'm here, I'm working. You ask me some question, I'm like, what? So I totally admire all parents who do homeschooling, because it is really not an easy thing. I admire all the teachers in school, because sometimes as parents we take for granted, what teachers really do in schools, because they spend almost 3/4 of the day with our kids in school. And I mean, when we are just honest with ourselves, kids are kids. We were kids once. And there is, all kids are good. And, even our own kids are good, yes, but they can be cheeky here and there. So it's kind of really a hard thing for teachers when they don't know. So how do I deal with this child? How do I deal with this one? So it's really important, and we are learning some good techniques here, because those are also emotions. Teachers also come to school with their own emotions. They are going through their own things, their own situations, their own, bowl of soup, wherever they are coming from. So they also have their own emotions to deal with. And this topic is really also, helping them to understand that even with those kids that are naughty, that are over the board, there is a way you can work with them, and you can bring them back into that, space that they are supposed to be as kids. So Cordelia, as we are continuing, we've spoken about the strategy. You've talked to us about, how to understand our bodies and ourselves. Walk us through a client that really came with the darkest moment of their life, and how you managed to help them, and how it felt to you and to them as well, to be able to work with that darkest moment. Because I know we have all those emotions, but there is that darkest emotion that somebody deals with, and they just don't know what next.
Two people come to mind, actually. So I have one who actually struggles with psychotic episodes, and well, she did, but she doesn't now. So when we started working together, she was just coming out of a really deep depression, and just trying to move forward with some things she was trying to get done in her business. I have to be super cryptic, right? Because I'm trying to figure out how to protect her identity.
No worries.
So, and at the same time, she is trying to create, she's trying to attract the clients that she wants, right? And the opportunities that she wants. But she was in such a low place that it just was the kind of word she was using is, my business is never going to work. I've been at this for 10 years and, I just suck. And, I'm editing that as well because she had more colorful language. And so vocabulary is super important, is really what I'm saying here. We literally can speak our own reality into existence. And so I went through this exercise with her, and I said, okay, so what's another way you can tell me what you just said? And she was didn't get it at first. She's like, what does that mean? I was like, if you were to say, I've been at this for 10 years and I don't suck at it, because she's won awards and kind of, those kind of things. I'm like, so what could you say? So, well, I've been very intentional and purposeful, and my peers have recognized my, some of the things that I've done. I was like, a little bit better than that. She's like, okay, so I've been recognized by my peers for my work and how it has stopped others from committing suicide. I'm like, okay. And so, and what does that mean? How does that feel to you? And she said, well, okay, so I saved some lives. And I was like, do you know how many lives you've saved? She says, well, I mean, I only know about 100. I was like, think about that for a minute. You only know about 100. Do you know the average person that is touched by even a social media post will not love, or comment? So if she knows about 100 lives that she's saved, then she probably has saved 10,000 lives. And I said, so if I said, let's just take a minute and receive for yourself, forgetting your peers and everybody else in the world, receive for yourself the power of the fact that you've saved these 100 lives. And so I chose her story because I think it's really powerful, because a lot of times women don't receive compliments, right? Like on the lower end. Like if I say, oh my gosh, you look so beautiful today. Oh girl, this whole thing. Right. So this is the higher level of what that shows up as in your business. Here is someone who is saved. She knows of 100 lives, and she's received like 4 or 5 awards, right? That's what she knows. And she hasn't received in her heart those awards. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So this changed her vocabulary. And within a week, she got some contracts that, one that she had been like working towards for like a year, closed. She also, attracted some high level interviews, which of course gave her more business. And it was just 2 things here: changing her vocabulary about who she is and how she shows up. And then the second thing is receiving the accolades of the power of her work.
Wow, powerful. That is so powerful. And, and that is very important, because what we say about ourselves, and especially like, it's that example might seem very simple for a lot of people, where somebody says that, you look so beautiful today. And, we ought to begin to learn to receive compliments, because it is not, we don't need to begin. Sometimes I think most of the people don't receive the compliments because they're kind of already calculating and judging in between the lines. Okay, so why is the person giving me this compliment?
Right.
Instead of receiving the compliment first, take a moment and feel it, and go into that space and say, how does it feel to receive a compliment? And then allow that compliment to sink in. Then let the rest of the things, calculate themselves. Because even sometimes when it is sarcastical as a compliment, as it might come, the way you receive it changes the other person's perspective.
And also, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The other thing is it robs that person of what their intention is.
Exactly. Because then they realize, I had probably the intention of just, making the person go down, but then, the way they received, they didn't actually, take the time to judge me or to think in between of what exactly that is. But it really kind of put that person in the perspective of, the person has received it, and it doesn't matter who is giving it, the person has received it. So the person goes with that thought of, oh, okay, so I have to rethink next time, because now they begin to learn the other side of being compassionate because of the way you've received that. And so it is really awesome how you have said, changing vocabularies about ourselves, and as much and accepting and appreciating compliments, rewards that we receive, because everything is an achievement, small or big. It's an achievement, seen or unseen. It's an achievement, and it is the only thing that can enable you to say, you have a why. I'm waking up today because I know I touched one person today, yesterday, or last week, or last month, and I know as I keep on waking up, I will touch another life. I don't know where, I don't know how, but somehow my activities, what I do, it will impact somebody else. And that is why I love, this show. And that's the many reasons why I do these shows, and having people who are really impactful, people who have gone through, issues, situations, seasons in life, and now they are thriving in their spaces, and they are able to, share their experiences, because it's only experiences in life that help the other person to understand, actually, I'm also going the same way, probably from a different perspective, but it's still the same way. And if she made it, if he made it, I too can, overcome that obstacle and also thrive in my own space. That is so beautiful, Cordelia. Thank you so much for sharing with that. So, Cordelia, what legacy do you want to leave?
I want women to recognize that motherhood is leadership. We're the pillars of society. If it weren't for us, there would be no people. Of course, I'm not saying that there's no God. I'm just saying we're the spiritual portal between worlds. And by default, we are the caregivers of the children, and the educators, the first educators of the next generation. And that is a very powerful position. And we need to welcome that and recognize that as pure leadership, and love that station.
Awesome. So we have some good comments. Cherie Smith says, changing vocabulary about ourselves. That is so right. And receiving compliments is also very important. She's just enjoying, the insight that you're giving, because it's full of wisdom. And this is how we love when we see that it really impacts, because I know I have a couple of people who watch even after, and some of them say, there is this show that you did and it really spoke to me, and it really has opened up my eyes to look at some things differently. And also for mothers, mothers have to begin to come to that space and know that they are actually leaders in their space. And because you are the first contact of your child, you are the first teacher of your child from the word go. We, and we forget that, but it is really true. We are teachers from the word go, because when they come out, you nurture them, you teach them how to feed, you teach them how to walk, you teach them how to talk. Sometimes they will never say mother as the first word that we always wish, but you're still the leader of that child, because you are teaching that child some skills. You are impacting something into that child that when they grow up, they will use it. Because most of the disorders that we see in most of the children out there is because of what they received when they were young, the atmosphere they grew in. So when we begin as women, as mothers, whether they are your own children or there's, your sisters, your neighbors, nurturing those children, they say it takes a village. It's important, because how we treat them, how we talk to them, how we discipline them gives them the opportunity to understand right from wrong, the opportunity to grow into that space that we are expecting for them in the future as a legacy. Cherie said, I'm writing this down because I have been guilty of brushing off compliments, never really allowing myself to truly receive it and let it sink in. Very good, Cherie Smith. That is very important. Every compliment that you get is beautiful. It is meant for you, whether it is said sarcastically or from the heart. It is meant for you, and it's just how you receive it that will really have an impact in your life.
But Leah, that is not our business. Someone's, like what the person's intention is. If we just take the words for the face value, right? They are, deposits into our heart, right? And, this vocabulary change is a form of self-nurturing too. I call it sweet talk, right? So we sweet talk ourselves. I often listen to love songs, but I change the words if I have to, right? If it has like hymn or whatever, it'll be my inner self singing to my outer self, loving all the cool stuffs about me, And so this is the sweet talk, the deposits that we give ourselves. And so that we're in the habit, when we hear someone say something nice to us, we just automatically receive it as, oh, more deposits, more love, as opposed to stopping judging, right? Why? Pause for the cause of you, for the cause of you, right? Not instead of you, right? So receive that. Yeah.
Exactly. And that is very important. That is why we say, brushing, not allowing people's opinion or, things that are really not necessary take control of your mind. And it's all what people say, it's a mindset. You change your mindset and just take the vocabulary, just take that word that is a self-nurturing word. And I love the way you say when you're listening to love songs, you change the words to, your inner self talking to your outer self, which is also a very good skill, because some people just love to go and serenade on love songs. But when we begin to change those words to like, it is me speaking to me, singing to me, then it nurtures us from inside out, and it makes us have the love and the compassion that we want to see out there, and we are able to pour it out, because we can't. It's not a default that you will pour love and compassion, because it's not something you're born with. It's something that you learn, you nurture, and you grow with it. So once you receive and you nurture and you grow with it, you are able to give it to somebody else, because that's why we say we pass on to one generation to another after another up to the end. And those are the legacies that we really expect and want really to leave for our kids and their generations to come, and making the world a better place, one person at a time.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's
awesome.
the most simple way to replenish,
Exactly. So Cordelia, thank you very much for sharing with us. Tell us how people can get in touch with you when they want maybe to learn more about this replenishing, dealing with emotions, becoming leaders, and in just wherever space that they are in.
Yeah. So, to see all my accolades and all my programs and all that, of course, I have a website, which is my name, CordeliaGaffar.com. But to hang out with me, you can join my Replenish Me group on Facebook. And you can also follow me on Instagram. Actually, I'm mostly on Instagram and LinkedIn. And again, it's under my name, Cordelia Gaffar. And so those are the best ways to connect with me. I really love on the women in my group, and there, that is a free Facebook group, and I do share different tips and everything. Today is Terrific Thursday, for example, and I asked the ladies, how are you capturing your joy today? So those are the kind of things that I do. Yeah.
Awesome. So guys, make sure you follow Cordelia on Instagram, join her group Replenish on Facebook, go to her website, see the things that she's doing, get some tips, love yourself. She said we should begin to appreciate, compliments, take those vocabularies and use them to, nurture yourself. Ensure that you remind yourself that it is your inside spirit that is speaking to your outer personality, and that is what you need to be giving out there, because we have no business to judge why somebody says something. Our business is to ensure that as we nurture us, we are able to give positively back to our atmosphere, back to our community, back to our nations, and making the world just a better place. We might think that we cannot make, but it is just one word, one step at a time, one person at a time, and things become better every day. Identifying the best version of you, identifying you as a leader where you are at, your space that you are at, you are a leader there, and learn how to understand your body, coordinating your mind and your heart and your spirit, because it is just your inner spirit and your outer spirit bridging together to help you to be that person that you want to be. So thank you very much, Cordelia, for coming to our show. We were really blessed. We've really learned a lot. I've learned a lot, especially, and I'm so glad that you were able to come as early as it is in New York.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. So thank you all. Tomorrow we are on with a new coach from Nigeria. So we will be on at 18 p.m. Central Eastern European time, and it will be 17 p.m. West African time. So Make sure you tune in. We will have some more insight on working with our youths and developing our youths in our space and in our surroundings. So we'll have a lot of great tips for every space that we are in. Until then, this is your host, Dr. Leah, and our guest today, Cordelia Gaffar, say thank you for showing up. Yeah.